It's Trisha Alicia.
It's Trisha Alicia.
It's Trisha Alicia.
It's T. Ali.
Coming back at you.
Back at you.
Back at you.
Coming back at you.
It's time to be enlightened. It's time to be inspired. It's time for Rhythm and Word. The Raw Music Radio Show begins now.
Hello, and welcome to the Raw Music Radio Show. I'm Diallo.
I'm Trisha Alicia.
And we are here for another edition of the Raw Music Radio Show. Trisha, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Diallo?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm glad to be here today because we got a very special show today. Going to be talking about an artist who has released her project, making waves throughout the state, soon throughout the world. Are you excited that she's announced?
Oh, yes, Diallo. This is weird. Imani Rainbow was our last show.
Right.
She had her Soulful Poetry Cafe reunion. And there were so many Nashville poets in the building. I'm so happy I got a chance to breeze through and see everybody. And
did you breeze through? You didn't breeze over the mic. Breathe over the mic.
I did. I got an opportunity to be on the mic, and so that was fun.
It was a nice show. It was a lot of people out who I hadn't seen in a while. I mean, I've seen, for instance, Dre, but
it was good to see Dre on the mic again.
Rashad was there. A brother named Nehemiah I hadn't seen since at least 10 or 15 years.
Summer Jade. I met Summer Jade in person. I was really excited about that. I was like, I felt like a little bit like a fan. I was like, I don't know you, but I know you. I know your art. I know your music.
Yeah, so it was Chaos was there.
Yes, big brother Chaos.
What did she call him? She called him the Godfather of Poetry in Nashville.
Yes.
So it was a good time. And today we're going to be talking to you, Trisha Alicia, talking about your new album, Pieces.
I'm so excited, I don't know what questions you're going to ask me, but this should be a fun experience.
It will be a fun experience, and hopefully it'll be insightful for our listening audience.
So I guess we're going to get into the first piece.
Yeah, tell us what you're going to play first, because you got so many.
Anyway. This first piece is off of Pieces, and it's called Heart Song. So keep it locked on Raw Music Radio. Question that acts like the hinge holding a door shut. The right answer becomes a key to unlock eyes, hearts, and reset destinies. People say, what would Jesus do? Unaware there's a direct line they can be connected to. He lives inside the best of us and has been a ride and die friend to the rest of us. But the suspicious laugh and say it sounds fictitious. So on boulevards they promenade beneath billboards, taking pieces of identities, becoming Frankenstein in their mentalities that they bake under artificial lights that dwarf out the natural sky, with noise pollution in the ears and smartphones that control the eyes. A sale for the real estate in our heart goes up, and a 6,000-year-old duet begins between man and his God. Inspired to be divine, I was breathed out of the nostrils of a Christ who had a son that committed his life and jumped down into time. He knew this me you see before the beginning of time, and I experienced him then. So physically, before I could literally become this he had to create and then wait. He watched Adam take his light and hide it under a bushel, or was it in a bush? Either way, when he walked in the cool of the day, he asked the question he already knew the answer to. Adam had been baited and the greatest switcheroo took place. The once adorned Satan began his conniving of man, building off the deception of one. After Eve bore 2 sons, the deceiver morphed into anger, whispered to Cain and got Abel slain. And so the great race, to entice us all to sing his twisted melody, began. Having no immunity, when I tumbled into time, my spiritual umbilical cord was severed. I would sing on pitch to the wrong melody because the intimacy shared before I stepped out of eternity would truncate. And just how dreams fade into oblivion upon wake, my sweet savior was disremembered as I grew. But intrinsically, I knew. Yes, I knew. Why isn't everyone singing the same song? True within my faith are those who deteriorate the grace that the great sacrifice gave, saying it's reserved for those who live holy and profess his name. But God says that his goodness is for all those who sit beneath the heaven on earth. Christians having sleep apnea, salvation, misinterpreting dying to self. While in great droves the world is dying before they're ever able to recall the melody to the rhythm of the song that feels too good to be factual, so they'll believe anything except you. But the gospel is true, and like DJs you must turn up the volume. You who confess that before within was sparked by the flash of a witness were those who ran down aisles of personal pursuits marrying the grind, those who used to push or pop poison, and those who lived a fast life, those who felt too good for the previous list but walked straight into the trap of pride. These are those who represent all of us. See, we were they before we realized the music is not buffering and it's not on pause. It's playing the song that was there all along. Idols, money, nor the heat or hell of life could not drown out the beat. Since the concept, the knowledge of Christ is within all humanity, we gotta shout it out.
You're listening to the Raw Music Radio Show on the stellar award-winning gospel radio station, 760 AM, The Gospel.
Hello and welcome back to the Rhythm and Word Raw Music Radio Show where ink meets beat. I'm your girl Trisha Alicia.
And I'm Diallo.
All right, Diallo.
This is my heart song. Talk about that piece, Trisha.
Oh, man.
Inspiration. Where did it come from?
Heart Song is just a piece where I wanted to tackle that kind of age-old question that exists between religions. Because a lot of people look at Christianity and they're like, well, was he really man? Because like they either get with the fact that there is a God, or they're like, well, Jesus was just a man, right? But they don't say, was God a man? And so that's really where it starts. You know, was God ever really a man? And then it goes into all of that. But I also wanted to address the fact that that same sort of conundrum of God being man is the way, like, because we get it sometimes inside of Christianity, we like to say, some of us like to say, well, then this is just for us, this is like our thing. But I believe that, like, since God knew us before the beginning of time, which is what the second verse talks about, we have to reflect that image in the earth. And when he says, hey, we're a part of the body of Christ, that means we have to use whatever attracted us to attract other people. And that's the power, you know, of testimony. And that's the power of literally letting our light shine in the earth. And I kind of used the backdrop of, hey, it's my heart song to talk about everything.
Wow, and you do a great job at it. You know, what's interesting to me, not only about that piece, but about the album, is that we get a chance to kind of go inside and look at a lot of different pieces of you, different ways that you see the world, different things about your relationship with Christ, and then different parts of you. Now you're a triple threat. You're a singer, poet, and a beatboxer. No, I'm just kidding. A beatboxer, but a writer for sure. So you know, when it came to doing this project, Pieces, because there are so many different facets of you, how did you determine what pieces to put on the album and what pieces not to include?
I had a lot of help. I probably wrote about 35 or 40 songs, and I recorded probably about half of that, and then sent them to focus groups. And everybody in the focus group kind of voted. And some pieces I didn't intend to make the album, but they tested out really well, and so that was surprising. And I went with what the people said.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you, doing all of that research, because we got the highest level of product that we could have gotten. I know you're excited about it.
Yes.
Let's play something else, and then let's take us a break. What you got coming up next? Come on, give us another sample from the album.
All right, this one is called Gold Rags.
Let's do it. Go Rags.
They tell me how my laugh lines make me look old. So by 24, I'm out buying retinol. I see pages of the moments most beautiful. Read up on how to become one. They show me how to get my hair to grow and how to brighten my skin so that it can glow. For every treatment, though, there's always a downside. And it's how I accept me on the inside. It's like I become a reject to myself with every half-truth that I inject. It acts like a free radical cell forming cancer in my mind. The pretty that by my eyes was once defined has been replaced by computer photo lies, giving me frame on frame of the picture-perfect shade of femininity. How did shape become so critical when simply living is still a miracle?
It's
Man, I don't know.
That decays every day, just a rag that they say is made of gold, just a reason to sell your soul. They got these gold rags waving in the air. I'm about these soul rags.
A pretty outside doesn't magically make it right. Everybody struggles inside. And when you've been mistreated in life, there are questions that linger in the heart mind. Whether it's feeling insecure or paranoid, that root of doubt can be traced out to the time defeat was tasted and it felt like life was crushing. It's like you're standing in a sandstorm with no protection on your skin, and you can't see your way forward cause your eyes are burning. The struggle to maintain balance when it's all slipping and things are in shards, even though for what you know you go hard. Life will have you feel like you should be unbreakable. Spirits bright and white and cores impenetrable. So when soul ties run deep and sickness and pressure just makes you want to go to sleep, when you feel like you have no solutions and no control, remember, even on the worst day, he still has the best way. He'll take our heart shards and switch tags, taking what we had, even our last, to get us past severe stations. I'm talking about inside out elevation, the outworking of what's happening internally. Literally, he's working out of you and me.
Every day, just a rag that they say is made of gold, just a reason to sell your soul. They got these gold rags waving in the air. I'm about these soul rags.
You're asking, why does it sound so spiritual? Cause everything you do infects the soul. From the whispers to the lies, to the greeds, to the deeds, they're all relatable. To some, soul rags aren't valuable, but that's so crazy it should be criminal. He's been my life's mastermind. He gave me a partner to help me attack the false truth that I actively speak or think, to get more of his light to break out of me.
Tune in into Rhythm and Word, Raw Music Radio Show, featuring exciting spoken word artists from around the nation with Diallo and Trisha Alicia on 760thegospel.com.
And we are back on the Raw Music Radio Show. This is Diallo.
I'm Trisha Alicia.
And we are interviewing Trisha Alicia today. Trisha, that piece is called Gold Rags. What I like about it is that, like, that's an oxymoron, right? On some level?
On some level, yeah.
Gold rags?
Yeah.
How did you even come up with that concept?
My older brother, he was basically like, like, what are you going to say to, like the younger girls that are out there? Like, what would you say? I have a niece who is 16. He's like, what are you going to say to, like young girls like that when they listen to your project? Like, what is one thing that you either wished you knew or want to say, like if you had that opportunity just to have their attention? And one of the things that I really thought about, like, was exactly what Gold Rags talks about. It says, the way that the world fantasizes youth, right? They're like, oh, you got to look like you're 22 for the rest of your life. I wanted to just combat that. The world that we live in is, if there's no other dialogue, you're going to believe whatever is there. So the world says, whatever they say about materialism, whatever they say about, hey, you got to go and acquire and you have to just be about yourself. And without the dialogue that the Bible presents, people will just consume whatever the world feeds them. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to at least have an opportunity to challenge that dialogue. And that's where Gold Rags comes from. These name brands, and put it in its place. It's not going to get you closer to eternity. It's not going to get you a better relationship with God. And value what he values, which is your inside and not your outside.
Now, and that's really great because you were very intentional with the project. I mean, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into, hey, I'm going to include this piece not only because of the focus group, but the content of it is going to be focused on different groups because I feel like there's something that I have to say to that group of people.
Absolutely.
So now we probably, and I don't know if you're going to share any of the songs from the project with us on the Raw Music Radio Show because it's Raw Music, and if you will, we're open to that. But talk about some of the things that we might not hear on the show that you've included on the album, and how that process was for you in terms of making it a spoken word and an album where you're singing as well.
Oh man, so that process was really, really different. I think prior to writing this project, I felt that my spoken word project had to be its own solid project, and then the music had to be its own solid project. And I think it wasn't until we actually started talking about this concept of raw music that I realized, okay, these two things can actually live in the same house. And so it shaped how I would attack whatever song. So I knew, like, my mom wasn't going to be into like Promises, which is one of the more up-tempo songs. Might not be into Pieces, which is the title track of the album, but Pieces is talking about my testimony, my life, and the lives of women that I've seen, right? And I knew she would be into You Told Me, which is like a slower, kind of more gospel-y sounding.
Traditional in some sense, but not completely.
Exactly. So I knew she would be into that. And I kind of just wrote it with people around me in mind, like the people that I'm able to talk to on a regular basis who allow me to give them advice or speak into their life, or they speak into my life. And I'm like, if they were sitting down and I had to not write a song for them, but if we were just kicking it and I had to say something, what would I say? And so through the process of evaluating those songs, we got to the end result.
Yeah, and you've been doing quite a bit of traveling. I know we got to play. Let's play something else. Tell us what we're going to hear now, and then when we get back, I want to talk about some of the places you've traveled and some of the things advice you can give for other artists in your situation.
All right, so this last piece that we're going to play on the Raw Music Radio Show is called Grace.
Why does God feel so far away when the answer you want him to tell you most is to the question that burns the deepest? The question that holds your life up like struts supporting a wall that you don't want to fall in the wrong direction. Terrified of falling prey to action made hastily, decisions sometimes feel as permanent as time spent. Can't press rewind, nor can you control Z to undo a movement. Desperate for feedback, you perform rituals to show God that you're a good Christian and that you're listening. But instead of jeopardy where it's nothing but answers and you ask the questions, You mimic Dora, Sherlock, or Nancy Drew playing the game Clue. Feebly walking tenderly through life's situations, but your help is walking with you. See, I was saved by grace. Deep in the bowels of human depravity sat you and me. And through his love he waded in the muck and mire, the dung and the bayou, picked us up and claimed us again. I'm getting too far ahead. Have you ever seen a bird who's always lived in a cage fly? I mean, the door is open, their wings work, but they're stuck resolutely inside. Intellectually, the bird believes that its residency is confined to the side of the metal it has always seen, even though its reality is contradictory to the nature God created the bird to be in. I trust that if the bird had a PhD and it acted similar to me, giving what is seen the most credibility, it would have studied the composition of its habitat, describing the tensile strength of the alloy compound of its compound, fully persuaded that nothing short of the jaws of life could enable it to get free. And then in reaches a hand, moving the flap that kept the bird trapped. If this was an experiment, you and I would note how interested the bird was with entertaining the prospect of its freedom. If the bird wasn't contained long, it would likely break the flap, recognizing that this was its fleeting moment to fly. But the longer the bird was held in captivity, the more coaxing it would take to get the bird to believe that it could actually be free, that the flap had really been moved back, and that the impossible was no longer that. The dreams of a world beyond the cage could become reality. No longer would the bird sing a sad melody because it would be soaring. But the physical surrounding infiltrated the bird's mentality, and so are some of we. Only instead of the cage being the limitation, worry and frustration are negative sums depleting energy and patience. So like ticking time bombs, we storm through life becoming tumors to ourselves. And to that end, we're just like the bird whose flap has been moved back but who does not fly into the sky. God has done the impossible. For our fragile existence of days that seem to be full of worry, He's gotten the recipe to short-circuit calamity. But all we see is how our faith separates us from the life that we really want. After all, isn't that all the bird sees? A cage separating it from the life it transfixes its eyes on daily. Likewise, we pace the floors of our homes, moan and beckon the hand that feeds us mysteriously from the sky for more. At what point do we realize that all we have to do is walk through? We say, Lord, I need more faith, and then I can reach the sky. That's the bird asking for a bigger cage in order to soar through the air that's on the other side. See, the bird expands the current situation instead of escaping it. Brothers and sisters, you're free. It's not your faith, it's your belief that the cage has been replaced by a limitless sky. You are free. Now fly.
This is the Raw Music Radio Show on 760 AM The Gospel with Diallo and Trisha Alicia.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was graced by yours truly, Trisha Alicia, on the Raw Music Radio Show.
Hey, we need God's grace.
Absolutely. Birds flying.
Hey, you know, and you do paint beautiful pictures in that piece.
Thank you.
As well as, you know, all of the spoken word that you've included on the album. And I guess my question was, now that you've completed the album, you got everything mixed, mastered, and released, you've been doing quite a bit of traveling.
Yeah. So it's the promo tour. It's called Piece by Piece Promo Tour.
Piece by piece.
Yeah. So if you're following me on social media, you've seen it. You know, you've seen the graphics, the bright yellow graphics. Hopefully, I feel like especially in Nashville, there are so many artists that attack their spoken word differently.
Yeah.
You know, when I go places, I feel like I'm just bringing a portion of the city with me when I just set the a piece of the city with me. When I just kind of set it up. Yeah. And it's really cool. You know, Diallo, you have these morphs in your voice that I still am trying to capture.
You don't want a deep voice, Trisha.
No, not deep.
You don't want to be this deep. Keep it where it is. You're doing a great job.
Not deep, but you have a lot of nuances. It would be strange, but you have nuances that I really, really like, and I'm like, I gotta work that in somehow.
Well, now, you know, most recently, I won't say most recently, but I know recently you were at Born Again Church here in Nashville at a conference, and I think it was some really nice footage you got from that performance that people, I'm sure, have been responding to in a great way. So tell me about some of the responses you've been getting, not only like, let's say there, but at some of the different responses, because I know a lot of it for you is ministry. So I imagine people come back and maybe give you some insight, not only on how the song sounded, but what the song was saying and how it touched them.
I had this one really long text message that came back to me, like, I finally got a chance to sit down and listen to Grace, and oh my goodness, I can't, like, it just makes me cry when I think about how much God has done for me and how I don't walk in it. And I think I'm guilty of it, you know, in certain aspects of my life. Even on this past Sunday, my pastor was preaching on something completely different, and it just struck me like about this one area of my life where I still was trying to use my muscle of faith instead of just letting the belief stand up. And so it's a lot of stuff like that where people like sit down with the content and they listen to it, and that's the best compliment ever for somebody to actually listen to the lyrics that we pen. You know, with You Told Me, a lot of people are like, man, it's so relatable
because
to
people
me.
are holding on. You know, some people, the blessing hasn't arrived yet.
Right.
You know, but you told me, Lord, that you would bless me. You know,
Exactly.
now I know you're here every week, so you're used to the format and everything. And people, you know, we talk about how to hit us up and whatnot. But how can people not only hit you up, but how can they get the project? How can they support Trisha Alicia, or how can they just get the music because they want the music?
Yeah. So the music, you can find it locally if you have Christian bookstores that you go to. Definitely check it out there. If they don't have it, just let them know like you want them to order it. It's distributed through New Day, so just let them know, hey, Trisha Alicia is distributed by New Day. They'll be able to get it, the physical copies, if you want a physical copy. Physical copies,
you know, people my age want a physical copy.
Go to your local bookstore. Go to your local bookstore and request it. If they don't already have it there. If you want a digital copy, it's available on Google, iTunes, Amazon. If you want to stream it before you can buy it, you can do that on Amazon and Spotify. And if you just want to follow me as I follow Christ, as Mount Zion says, I'm available on pretty much all social media. And it's I am Trisha, Trisha, Alicia, Alicia. So I am Trisha Alicia.
Because I almost cried when I saw my name in the liner notes. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So thank you, Trisha, for mentioning me in this journey. Well, we're out of time, so I'm going to stop being silly, even though I do thank you, you know, because... okay, all right, listening audience, we're going to get out of here before it's too late.
Anyway.
Okay, well, it's been a great show, Trisha. I'm looking forward to all the things God's doing in your life. I mean, he's been blessing you all along, but now it's like there's a trajectory where I can see, you know, and I know you're doing work. You're putting in work, so the work is part of the harvest, right? When you harvesting, you out there picking fruit.
You're harvesting.
It's work.
It's active. It's active.
So you all continue to work, continue to have a good time, continue to praise the Lord, and we will be back next week.
We will.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get Trisha to play one or two of those songs at some point.
Okay, I'm with it.
All right.
So until next week, you know how we do, fam. Be creative, be progressive, but ultimately, be you.